If you're a creative entrepreneur or small business owner and you're feeling like your brand doesn't really represent who you are anymore, then this video was really made for you because I was feeling the same way a few months ago. What's up guys, and welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Katie. I'm a creative entrepreneur who runs my own freelancing digital marketing agency. Today I'm giving you the download on why I rebranded my company and my whole entire look. This is my first video in the new office and I'm so excited. The lighting is so much better in here. And you can see my newly built PC. Sit in the corner all pretty. We love her. Before we get started, if you're new, please consider liking and subscribing this video, especially if this helps you, because you want to save it for later. So to be able to give you the full details on why I chose to rebrand, I actually need to take a step back and rewind. So back in the beginning, before I started freelancing full-time, I was freelancing on the side while working a full 9-to-5 job. But I knew that one day I wanted to go full-time freelance, but I knew that there was a process to get to that point. I knew I needed to get into the freelancing side of things, and I chose specifically web design because it was my favorite. So with that in mind, I knew I needed to break into a particular niche, and I had to kind of choose what I wanted that to be. So the niche I chose was the bloggers. I wanted to do the lifestyle bloggers, the ones who needed new websites, the up-and-coming ones. And so that was what I chose to focus myself in order to get into the realm of freelance. So while this particular niche and this clientele, I loved working with them and they got me by for a long time and I learned a lot. But in the end, it got a little monotonous when you're building blogs every day. Sometimes you want a little spice. I built my whole brand around this particular niche and attracting that particular client, which was great. It worked out so well for me because I've had some amazing clients and some amazing returning clients because of this brand identity that I built for myself. And this brand was really a good representation of who I was at that moment in my life. In the last 12 months or so, I was moving away from the blogger style websites and wanting to do more, of course, websites, but bringing on digital strategy, creative directing, the full thing. I wanted the full package for these clients. I wanted to keep them around for longer and help them grow, not just give them a website, there you go, So as of late, my brand wasn't really feeling like myself anymore. In the last few years, I've learned so much from freelancing and my brand wasn't really keeping up with my own personal growth. So because of that, I was starting to feel very underwhelmed by my work. I was very uninspired, I wasn't motivated, and I was just in a really big funk. I was just I have work today, and I used to be so excited about work, but So after all of this happened, I took a step back and I was like, you know what? I really need to rethink what I want to do, what I want my goals to be for my company. I've grown, my goals need to grow, my motivation needs to grow. I need to do bigger, better things. And the best way I could think to start this creative process for myself was to completely rebrand. The first part of me looking inward in my company was what kind of people or what kind of audience do I want to market myself to? Because when I know that, I can start building an identity that relates to or talks to or captures the attention of that audience. And I wanted my brand to be not just a way to capture my target audience, but also a new way to represent myself and my ideas and my creativity wrapped up in one brand identity. So by taking these two concepts and morphing it into one, I was able to come up with my new brand identity. So with the brainstorming of this, all in mind, I knew that also on top of my brand identity getting updated, my services were going to need to change. I was marketing myself primarily as a web designer, which is awesome. Again, my favorite thing to do, but I have so many other services I do now. I do brand identities for most of my clients. I do digital marketing strategies, digital marketing campaigns, email marketing, social media management. I have so many extra services that I've tacked on throughout the years and I wasn't marketing those anywhere to any of my clients. It was a missed opportunity. In June 2021, I started working in the background, trying to rebuild my brand from the ground up. resetting goals, figuring out like what inspires me, what keeps me, you know, going to work every day. And I wanted to create a more wholesome brand that felt more like me, but that also spoke to the type of client that I wanted to attract, which I'll get into more of that like later. So there's kind of the background on why I chose to rebrand myself. Any of my old clients probably know this, but if you're, you know, potential client or, you know, a new client, you'll learn this. Like, I really love quizzes and like, you know, assessment tests and stuff like that. Easy ones, of course. So the first step in my process was that I actually gave myself a brand placement quiz, the same one that I give to my new clients, that kind of tells me where I sit on the brand spectrum. If you don't know what that is, you could easily Google it, but it's a really telltale sign of like what kind of brand identity you want to have going forward. After completing my brand spectrum quiz, the second part was listing out all my goals, the ideas I had, the inspiration I had for my brand and the visual identity. The third step was combining all of that into a mood board. And that took me so long because like I'm the pickiest person, especially when it comes to my own work or my own brand. I mean, like, you know, that we can all relate. But building my mood board was iterations upon iterations upon iterations, like so many, until I got my final one, which she's beautiful. You wanna see her? There she is. That's her. That's my mood board. After that, it was actually pretty quick to come up with logo concepts because I had a really clear identity in my head after doing those first 3 steps. So I started sketching out and drawing logo concepts from there that I implemented into vector format. So after coming up with my logo concepts, my color palette, all that stuff, I knew, I was like, all right, to really kick this off, we need to get some new brand photography. Because all my old photography was outdated. She was outdated. Yeah. So I booked my very good photographer friend, Pri. We had an amazing shoot. I mean, we were looking at them on the spot like during shoot, and I was just like, this is everything I've ever dreamed. Like, this is exactly, she literally just, Pri took the assignment and she nailed it. She knocked it out of the park. She did amazing. So extra thanks to Pri. So after getting photos and logos and everything about my brand updated, I implemented all of these changes onto my website and updated my services. So after launch, that was pretty much the process up to this point. Thanks to everyone who submitted questions on my Instagram. I'd be so happy to answer them for you now. So the first one was, how difficult is it to manage existing and new business while rebranding? So overall, it wasn't that hard. I think the hardest part was workload more than anything. I obviously had deliverables that need to be, you know, finished for clients. I think the hardest part for me was setting time aside to, okay, you get to work on your brand later, you need to finish your deliverables first, because I was just so excited to do the rebrand. Okay, the next question is, do you feel like you are satisfied with your current identity, or do you think you'll change it soon? I think currently I'm extremely happy with it. I'm so happy with it, like I'm obsessed. But I mean, I'm always changing and developing as a person. I mean, I could see myself in 2-3 years, like taking a completely different route. So for now, I am so satisfied. We're gonna keep her a while, but I could see myself in 3 or 4 years, like being like, you know, I'm ready for a change. I mean, okay, the next question is, I'm looking at targeting a new audience. Do I need to rebrand in order to reach that audience? This is a yes and no question, but I'm leaning more towards yes. I do feel like every brand identity should start with strategy, and that strategy really roots in that target audience that you are trying to attract. So it depends I guess it depends, because it depends how different your current target audience is compared to the one that you are, you know, looking at, you know, targeting next. If they're pretty similar, you probably don't need a full-on overhaul, but if they are But if they are pretty different, then I would recommend starting from scratch. Next question's a really good one. I wouldn't have thought to ask this. I want to start charging more for my services. Do I need to consider rebranding? No. The answer is no. You don't need to rebrand to charge more. Know your worth. Know your worth. No, you don't. No. Just because I did doesn't mean that you have to. Okay, last one. What are some good ways to know that I need to rebrand? So like I just said in the beginning of the video, if your brand doesn't, resemble who you are as a company or as an individual anymore, then it's a really good time to rebrand. If you're failing to stand out from the competition, it is a really good time to rebrand. If you had a trendy brand identity a few years ago and it is now not trendy, I would really consider rebranding because nothing stands out more than an overused trend. If you feel like you've outgrown your brand or if your strategy has changed, it'd be a very good time to rebrand. Just a word of advice for anyone who is considering rebranding after this video, I highly recommend meeting with and talking to a different brand identity designers and finding someone who really gets you and your identity and your vision going forward, because that is so important for you and your future, honestly. So I can't stress enough, put a lot of weight into the designer that you choose. Cheaper is not always better, and typically if they're a little more pricey, if they're a little more luxury, that's because they know what they're worth and they're ready to charge that because they know what kind of good services they're gonna give you. Just saying. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. A special thanks to everyone who helped me with my brand identity and all your feedback going forward. You were just tremendous help in me finding myself again. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, please like it, save it for later, or subscribe for new content. I am so glad you came to hang out with me for a little bit, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye!